Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name's Chandra and today's video is all the books that I have DNF'd and it is official as of February. They're on my DNF list. Some of them I might try to read again, a lot of them probably not, but I wanted to do a list before I updated it for the end of 2020 because I think I'm going to add a lot more books to the list. And that's the sad truth. So, number 1. The Dark Prince by Christine Feehan. I hated it. I really didn't like it at all. You can read my review on Goodreads. I'll put a link to that in the description. Ugh. A lot of dark thoughts. Number 2, Eldest by Christopher Paolini. I couldn't get through this book. Granted, it's been a really long time. It's been years. It was just sitting in my currently am reading list and I wasn't making any progress on it, and I was just like, at this point, why is it here? Who am I kidding? Why am I torturing myself like this? It's obviously not my cup of tea. I might go back and try to reread it as, again, it's been a really long time, but at the time, maybe I wasn't the right demographic. We shall see. Number 3. Green Witch by Alice Hoffman. I read the first book in this series. There's 2 books. I guess it's a duology. I expected it to be more like the first book. I enjoyed the first book. I went back to read the second book. Didn't enjoy it as much. I may need to go back and reread it now that I've had the opportunity to give it time and space. But I just haven't really had the opportunity, and right now I think it's fine for it to stay on my DNF list. Number 4. Cybele's Secret by Juliet. I'm not even sure if I typed that right on my list, so I'll just put it in I'm going to double check it and put it in the description. How about that? I expected it to be like the first book. The first book was Wildwood Dancing, and I absolutely loved that book. It's been a really long time since I read it, but I read them successively. And I was reading the second book because I wanted more of the first book, and the second book was not the first book. And it just kind of made me sad, so I stopped reading it. So maybe I'll go back and read it again, but not at this time. Number 5, Shadowshifter by Melissa D. Ellis. Someone actually gifted me this book because at the time where I was living, the author was from that town. That sentence came out really strangely, but I think you catch my drift. So that's why they gifted it to me. I started reading it and I didn't love it. It is I think it was self-published, and I felt at the time that it wasn't quite as polished as I would have been comfortable reading. But the other thing I realize now, because again, this has been quite some time, it is young adult, and it's quite a big book for being young adult, or maybe, yeah, I think young adult. It's quite big for being a young adult book. And I was already starting to shift to adult, and I think maybe I wasn't the right person for that book. So I wouldn't say don't read it, but I'm not going to finish it. Number 6, Eyes Like Stars by Lisa Mantchev. Mantchev. I'm terrible with names, so please forgive me. I never got very far into this book. I really wanted to like it because I loved the cover art. It has beautiful cover art. You can see it on my Goodreads, which is again in the description. I couldn't get into it. I just couldn't get into it. And now it's young adult, so I'm not gonna go back and reread it. Number 7, The Will of the Empress by Tamora Pierce. Another book, I feel like I was shifting out of young adult to adult, and I just wasn't the right demographic. I also thought there was a lot of description of various, I remember a description of some kind of fabric, and it just went on and on for entirely too long. I couldn't even say how long it went on for now, but I was just like, I'm so bored. and it was supposed to be sci-fi or fantasy. I never really quite figured that out. When I started reading this, I really didn't care about genre. I just grabbed whatever they had in the library that had a cover that spoke to me. This one, the cover spoke to me when I started reading it. I just couldn't figure out what it was about or what they were trying to get at with this fabric, and I lost interest and I put it down and never picked it up again. So these were the 7 books on my DNF list. Like I said, this list is about to grow significantly for 2021, and maybe I'll do an updated, we shall see, an updated video depending on how much stuff I end up adding to it, because I hate not finishing stuff. So I would always just like make myself read the books, but I've also reached an age and enough perspective, and I've read enough books at this point where I can really determine what I like and what I don't like, so I don't feel so bad saying I'm not going to finish this. And that is why my DNF list was very short and is about to get much longer. So I'd love to hear what you think. What makes you DNF a book? What makes you think I might actually try to read that again? Let me know. You can drop that in the comments or on social media. You can find me at cchanwright. And I will see you all next time. Thanks. Bye.